What if I told you that the movie the world thought it knew, the one that shocked audiences for decades, was hiding a secret no one was meant to discover? A truth so profound that, once revealed, it changes everything you thought you understood about faith, sacrifice, and human responsibility. The Passion of the Christ isn't just a film. It's a journey into something far larger than entertainment, a story that Hollywood tried to bury, and that one man risked everything to tell. The movie was extraordinary, haunting, unforgettable, and unlike anything audiences had ever experienced. Yet beneath its acclaim, there lingered an inexplicable undercurrent of resistance. It was as if the world could feel its weight before even fully understanding it. Audiences were captivated, critics debated it with fervor, and still, Hollywood itself seemed to shrink away, hesitant, almost fearful of the raw power of what Gibson had brought to the screen. This was not just a film. It was an experience that unsettled people, forcing them to confront truths about faith, sacrifice, and human responsibility that so many preferred to ignore. Mel Gibson, the visionary behind The Passion of the Christ, sat down on the Joe Rogan podcast to discuss the sequel, and what he revealed would forever alter how the original film was understood. It was the kind of conversation that starts in casual curiosity and ends in revelation, the kind of dialogue that lingers long after the microphones are off and the cameras stop rolling. In that moment, Gibson was not simply recounting filmmaking challenges or cinematic techniques. He was peeling back the layers of a story that had endured for millennia, exposing its hidden heartbeat. Imagine a film that had already stunned the world for decades, yet carried a secret no one was meant to uncover. Beneath the relentless intensity, the visual horror, and the visceral storytelling, there existed a truth so profound, so quietly monumental, that it could transform the way viewers perceived every moment on screen. It was not a secret meant to shock for spectacle, but one that spoke to the soul, an idea so powerful it demanded attention, reflection, and confrontation. What began as a routine conversation about filmmaking and faith quickly evolved into something extraordinary, something so startling, so emotionally charged, that even Joe Rogan, a man celebrated for his calm and composure, found himself completely astonished. Gibson's words did not simply inform, they revealed. They challenged, unsettled, and opened doors into the unseen dimensions of a story audiences had thought they already knew. In that dialogue, the ordinary gave way to the extraordinary, and the familiar became something profoundly new. Hollywood legend Mel Gibson revealed a detail in The Passion of the Christ that had gone unnoticed by nearly everyone until now. The revelation was raw, disquieting, and profoundly transformative. There were no gimmicks, no theatrics, no sensationalism. This was truth laid bare. Gibson was exposing a reality that Hollywood itself had spent years trying to suppress, a truth hidden in plain sight, embedded in every frame of the film. Once audiences grasp what he uncovered, they will never watch the movie the same way again. The familiar images and scenes, the anguish and devotion, take on a weight and resonance that cannot be unseen or unexperienced. To fully understand Gibson's revelation, one must return to the very origins of the project. The Passion of the Christ was never intended to be merely another biblical epic, polished and safe, designed to entertain without demanding reflection. Gibson had no interest in grandiose cinematography meant to impress or in predictable storytelling that comforts rather than challenges. He envisioned something far more potent, raw, visceral, unflinching, a cinematic experience that would seize audiences by the throat and refuse to release them until they had truly felt the full weight of sacrifice. This was a story of suffering that transcended history. It was personal, universal, and immediate. As Gibson himself explained, we are all responsible for this. Jesus' suffering was not a distant event confined to history books. It was a mirror reflecting the conscience of every human being, across time, space, and circumstance. Gibson immersed himself in the four Gospels, examining each verse recounting the final hours of Jesus' life with meticulous attention. But he went further than most filmmakers dared, delving into ancient texts, theological commentaries, and esoteric writings. He sought not only to retell the events, but to illuminate the hidden dimensions of their significance, the spiritual warfare, the human cost, the weight of sin and redemption, and the divine purpose coursing through every moment of agony. Every detail, every shadow, every flicker of light carried meaning, demanding the viewer's engagement with something far greater than mere spectacle. The opening scene alone sets the tone for the entire film. In the Garden of Gethsemane, darkness presses in from all sides, heavy and oppressive. Jesus kneels in prayer, sweat mingled with blood dripping from his brow, while his closest companions slump in exhausted slumber around him. The vulnerability is almost unbearable. Here is a figure who is at once fully divine and fully human, bearing a crushing weight that no mortal could withstand, yet enduring with unwavering purpose. The tension is palpable. The air seems to thrum with anticipation, with fear, with the invisible presence of malevolent forces pressing upon him. Gibson's vision draws the audience in immediately, demanding more than passive observation. It demands that we feel, understand, and reckon with the enormity of what is unfolding. The vulnerability depicted on screen is staggering. Jesus is at once divine and human, burdened yet unwavering, his agony palpable in every movement, every breath. Shadows twist and slither across the landscape with malevolent intent, as if the darkness itself were alive, conspiring to crush hope. And then Satan appears, whispering doubts that seep into the soul. A serpent slithers forward, a living symbol of temptation and sin, only to be crushed beneath Jesus' heel. A deliberate, powerful callback to Genesis, echoing the very first promise of redemption. Every frame, every shadow, every whispered line of dialogue carries layers of theological weight. Gibson did not create a film to be watched passively. He crafted a cinematic experience that demands engagement, reflection, and an unwavering focus on the magnitude of human and divine sacrifice. Yet, even as the film's profound significance became apparent, Hollywood resisted. Gibson revealed a truth rarely discussed. While films exploring non-Christian religious traditions often received respectful treatment, thoughtful portrayals, and careful attention, Christian stories were treated differently. Doubt, dismissal, and sometimes even hostility accompanied them. Studios that had once eagerly embraced a project from an Oscar-winning director suddenly went silent. Meetings were canceled without explanation. Calls went unanswered. Longtime colleagues, those who had worked with Gibson for years, began keeping their distance. The message was clear. This story and the filmmaker determined to tell it were not welcome. But Gibson would not yield. His Catholic upbringing transformed what might have been mere professional ambition into a deeply personal mission. When traditional funding disappeared, he refused to compromise. Instead, he financed the film himself, gathering a team of believers who shared his vision and were unafraid of controversy. They worked not for prestige, not for profit, but for conviction, for the power of the story itself. The result was unprecedented. The Passion of the Christ became one of the highest-grossing R-rated films in history, proving that millions of viewers hungered for the kind of bold, uncompromising storytelling that Hollywood executives had insisted no one wanted. In doing so, Gibson shattered expectations, defied industry norms, and created a work that would leave an indelible mark on cinema and on the hearts of those who watched it. The making of The Passion of the Christ was extraordinary in ways few could have ever imagined. The production was not just a filmmaking challenge. It was a crucible of physical, emotional, and spiritual intensity. On set, strange, unexplainable events seemed to defy explanation. Jim Caviezel, cast as Jesus, endured real physical suffering, far beyond the demands of ordinary acting. The cross he carried weighed over 30 pounds, and during one take, it dislocated his shoulder. Later, during the scourging scene, he was struck twice by real whips, once with such force that the breath was literally knocked from his lungs, leaving his hands bleeding and torn. Each agonizing moment was captured on film with raw authenticity, impossible to replicate with special effects. Even more unsettling were the occurrences beyond human control. Lightning struck near the crew, sometimes dangerously close to Caviezel himself, yet he walked away unscathed. In biblical tradition, lightning is a symbol of divine power, a reminder of the presence of forces greater than ourselves. On set, the line between the natural and the supernatural felt unnervingly thin, as if the air itself was charged with unseen energy, bending reality in ways the cast and crew could not fully comprehend. The transformations were not limited to the physical. Luca Lionella, who portrayed Judas, entered production firmly as an atheist, skeptical, and unconvinced. By the end of filming, he had become a believer, profoundly changed by months of confronting themes of betrayal, redemption, and human weakness. Maya Morgan-Stern, who played Mary, carried a subtle, real-life pregnancy during filming, a living symbol of life and death, resurrection and renewal, interwoven into the very story she was helping bring to life. Gibson also recounted accounts of unexplained healings. A young girl suffering from severe epilepsy reportedly went an entire month without seizures after being present on set. Others claimed that their senses had been restored in mysterious ways. Whether these events were the result of divine intervention, extraordinary coincidence, or psychological transformation, the cast and crew emerged from the production believing that they had participated in something far greater than a film. It was as though every frame, every moment of suffering, every whispered prayer on set had been infused with a force that transcended ordinary filmmaking, a force that left everyone involved changed in ways they could never have anticipated. One scene perfectly encapsulates Gibson's extraordinary artistic vision. After the crucifixion, Jesus' lifeless body rests gently in Mary's arms, evoking the timeless image of the Pieta. In this single, haunting frame, grief and grace coexist, devastation and dignity intertwine, and human sorrow meets divine purpose. It is a moment that lingers, refusing to let go, demanding the audience confront the magnitude of suffering and the profound weight of sacrifice. Critics were divided, yet audiences were profoundly moved. Roger Ebert, widely regarded as one of the most influential film critics of his generation, awarded the film 4 stars, calling it the most intense, violent, and emotionally powerful cinematic experience he had ever witnessed. Others praised the film for its sincerity, ambitious scope, and spiritual depth, noting how Gibson's direction approached the craft of storytelling with a masterful, almost sacred precision. Yet even before the film premiered, controversy brewed. Religious leaders raised concerns about potential historical misinterpretations, fearing that certain portrayals could be misunderstood or misused, particularly in a world still sensitive to centuries of cultural tension and historical prejudice. Gibson, however, remained steadfast in his intention. His goal was never to assign blame to any single group. It was to convey humanity's collective responsibility, to reflect on our shared complicity, and to bring the audience face to face with the weight of moral choice. The impact of the film was undeniable. Its intensity sparked widespread conversation, reflection, and even personal transformation. For some viewers, it was spiritually life-changing, a visceral awakening to the depths of human suffering and divine grace. For others, it was deeply unsettling, confronting them with realities they might have preferred to ignore. Few walked away unaffected. Church groups organized screenings that became communal acts of reflection, while media outlets dissected every frame, every nuance, and every symbolic gesture. Across communities, debates raged, testaments to the power of a film that refused to be ignored, that demanded engagement rather than passive consumption. And yet, Gibson's vision did not end there. During his discussion with Joe Rogan, he revealed that he and screenwriter Randall Wallace had been developing an even more ambitious project for years, a film not confined by linear storytelling, but one that would unfold as a cosmic journey through the eternal struggle between good and evil. This was not merely a sequel. It was an expansion into narrative territory rarely explored by mainstream cinema, connecting a single historical moment, the resurrection, to everything that came before and everything that followed. The project promises to explore the vast spiritual landscape of humanity, the unseen forces at play, and the timeless questions of faith, morality, and the consequences of choice. Gibson's ambition is boundless, and his commitment to challenging audiences to see the familiar through an entirely new lens is nothing short of revolutionary. Gibson's work is driven by far more than faith or professional ambition. It is deeply personal, born from conviction and an unwavering sense of purpose. He asks a question that strikes at the heart of belief: who dies for something they know is a lie? The answer is chilling and profound. The apostles. Each of them gave their lives for what they had witnessed, bearing witness to events that defy comprehension, willing to pay the ultimate price rather than deny the truth of their experience. The resurrection itself defies every natural law, demanding that skeptics and believers alike confront the most fundamental questions of existence, purpose, and the ultimate cost of life and death. What shook Joe Rogan was not a single revelation, but the weight of Gibson's entire journey. It was the realization that one man had stood almost entirely alone against a vast and skeptical industry, determined to tell a story many preferred remain untold. It was the acknowledgement of the inexplicable events that occurred during filming, moments that could not be explained by logic or coin. Silence. And it was the recognition of the personal risks Gibson assumed, sacrificing reputation, comfort, and resources to create a work that transcended mere entertainment. This was a story of faith, of suffering, of redemption, and of courage in the face of overwhelming opposition. The Passion of the Christ was never just a movie. It was the manifestation of one man's refusal to compromise, a defiance of expectation, and a bold act of artistic and spiritual courage. It was a creation designed to move hearts, provoke thought, and challenge souls. The hidden truth Gibson carried, now revealed, is available to anyone willing to see it, to listen closely, and to allow themselves to be touched by stories that truly matter. These are stories that demand attention, that call for courage, and that require belief, not blind faith, but an acknowledgement that some stories are worth every sacrifice, every risk, and every confrontation with the unknown. Gibson's journey is a testament to the power of sincerity in art, the transformative potential of storytelling, and the enduring impact of courage when it is exercised in service of truth. His work reminds us that even in a world dominated by calculation, image, and compromise, there are still those willing to create for reasons that transcend profit, prestige, and popularity. The Passion of the Christ is more than a film. It is a challenge, a revelation, and a call to witness the extraordinary, even when the world resists seeing it. If this story moved you, if you've ever wondered what it truly takes to risk everything for a vision, then don't stop here. Watch the film again, reflect on its hidden depths, and share this story with someone who needs to see it. Explore the courage behind the art. Let yourself be challenged, transformed, and inspired. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment to uncover more stories that push boundaries and reveal truths the world often tries to hide.